So when you're talking about blockchains, you're talking about data and data storage. You know, these transactions are stored in immutable data, in immutable storage that can't be changed. And that storage is precious and people have to pay for that storage. But what's happening with a lot of these new EVM chains like Base and EVMOS is they're manipulating the gas fees to keep them cheap. And it gives this false appearance that their fees are cheaper, but really it's just a centralized chain that's being manipulated. So now that Zen has showed up, us, the Zenians, are minting CB Zen, and we're using that storage. And when we create these NFTs specifically, these VMUs, we're essentially creating a contract. So when you create a Zen NFT, you're creating a contract. So every single NFT is a smart contract, and the blockchain has to store these smart contracts. And that's what this base chain storage is. So there's basically saying of everything that's stored on Base, all the transactions, all the smart contracts, almost all of it is Zen. Zen's taking up all the storage on the chain. So 68% of the Base chain state has been taken over by a single protocol of questionable utility. So they're like, is this malicious? Like, they think that Zen is an attack on their chain, and we're taking over. We're a single protocol of questionable utility taking over the Base chain. This has implications for every cheap fee blockchain. And that's the key right there. Every cheap fee blockchain. So he's talking about the VC chains. You know, Coinbase is running Base, and they're making a fuckload of money every single day. Hundreds of thousands of dollars off the fees of the transactions. That's considered a cheap fee blockchain, and it's centralized. It's a VC chain. It's the Coinbase chain, and people understand that, and they use it. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It's just they don't like Zen because it's it needs the data. It needs the immutable storage. So this chart above visualizes how Base state is currently being used. The size of each rectangle is how much state is used by each type of contract. The chart was generated using the same methodology as a recent blog post on Ethereum. You'll find it here. So it's funny because you see Zen on Ethereum here too. So in their example, there's Zen. So like when you go back to this, all the ERC20 tokens, all the ERC 721 NFTs, all the bridges in DeFi, they don't touch the amount of storage that Zen has used in these NFTs and these Zen claims and everything we're doing, all the staking and everything. So what is the problem? Thanks to Zen, thanks to us, he's thanking us. 0.3% of Base users are monopolizing 67.8% of the chain's resources. So they're saying we're only 0.3% of the Base users, and we're monopolizing 67.8% of the chain's resources. The state is permanent. Base nodes now need to store and propagate the spam Zen data forever. The spam Zen data. Like, come on. Storage abuse can continue until gas price is redesigned. How does this affect blockchain scaling? Well, Zen's just proving that Base can't scale, and he's mad at Zen for that. So how does this affect blockchain scaling? Scaling blockchains to become 100x or 1000x larger will require efficient use of computational resources. It's not viable for the majority of a network resource to be consumed so inefficiently. So this guy's gonna come talk to us. We're building one of the most efficient blockchains, one of the fastest and most scalable and robust blockchains. And he's gonna say that it's not viable for the majority of the network resources to be consumed so inefficiently. Like, we're exposing you, bro. Like, we're exposing the problems with these cheap fee VC chains. You know, how mediocre they are. So how bad is this? In absolute terms, the problem's still small. Base contract storage is only 50 gigs in size compared to 250 gigs on Ethereum. The problem has also become less severe over time. The Zen state share peaked around 85% back in October. So, I mean, that was so early. That's why we jumped on Base so fast. It was so we could participate early. And now you see people are migrating to Zen. You see Solana having these quote unquote issues and all these failed transactions, and people want to meme it up. So they're going over to Base and buying stuff like Brett. And now that Base is getting used, the percentage that Zen is being used is becoming less and less because the rest of the stuff is catching up. So is the problem fixed? So far, there's been no mitigations. So they want to mitigate the problem. They think Zen is the problem. How do we mitigate this spam? Like, that's insane to me. So far, there have been no mitigations enacted to prevent future abuse. There's nothing preventing one or 10 Zen-like protocols from emerging to fill the state with spam, especially as fees continue to fall. So they're blaming Zen. They want the chain to be cheaper, but the validators have to verify all that Zen spam, and it's just unbelievable. Is this specific to Base? Not at all. Zen's left a huge mark on every major EVM chain. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have. For example, Zen's now the largest contract on Ethereum. It's been responsible for 8.8% of all Ethereum stake growth over the past year, and it now takes up 3.5% of all state. You know, it's almost like they knew what they were doing when they built Zen. Is Zen unique? Zen's just one example of a broader pattern. When cheap computational resources are combined with speculation, these resources will be used in unintended ways. Blobscriptions, gas tokens, Solana's ORE can all be lumped in this category. So he's saying you have to use our blockchain how we tell you to use it. You can't do it you can't do it your way. If you do it your way, we're going to change the blockchain. So you can't do it your way. You can't have your gas tokens and your blobscriptions and your ORE stuff. You know, Avalanche can't have inscriptions, according to the founder. So what are they going to do? What can be done? Simply put, storage needs to be repriced to reflect the true burden that it imposes on the network. And there's many ways to do this, each with varying levels of impact to normal users, but pricing storage is fundamentally difficult. Why is pricing storage difficult? Most of the operations within a transaction are easy to price because they happen instantaneously, but storage is different. Once you pay for storage, the data that gets stored by the network forever. So it's like pricing a lifetime subscription. And that's the whole point of blockchain. It's supposed to be immutable data. It's supposed to be basically a public utility that people can come and use and store this immutable data. So sooner or later, every chain will need to confront these storage spam issues. I've been modeling some potential fixes, but it's still a work in progress. If you have ideas for how to improve the storage spam or pricing, hit me up here or in DMs. I might be able to model it out. Thanks for reading. My broad mission in the past couple months has been put to use by ultra high-res data to help scale Ethereum. So it's pretty funny. And then we have, and it's nice to see people that I've never seen outside of the Zen community defending Zen. Isn't the whole point of an L2 to store large amounts of data that we don't want stored on the L1? This sounds like a conservative case for L2's data, but in the rollup framework, only the L1's data should be viewed conservatively. So he's basically saying, isn't that the point of layer 2s is to store this data? And the guy's like, no, it doesn't store it the way I want it to be stored, so I'm going to complain about it on Twitter. I mean, it's just ridiculous. What's up, Dank? Welcome. Turn off all your server space. All 2 of them. What's that sound? Shout out to Dank. Hey. Shout out to Augmented, too. I mean, we're all on these guys. There's, Owl, there's Ox Beast. All the Zenians coming out. So this was the base guy. If you click on this guy's this little green this icon, it takes you to Paradigm, a research-driven technology investment firm from San Francisco, California. They're into venture capital. So they're basically a VC coming out telling us that Zen is spam and they need to combat this spam on the blockchain. Are you fucking kidding me? And then the EVMOS guy has to come and tag along too. He's got to throw his shots in there when we're down. He's like, oh, I got a chart too. I got a chart too. He comes out. The EVMOS chain also has the exact problem with the same questionable project. So not only are we a spam project, we're also a questionable project. Today, running EVMOS nodes are significantly more costly because the amount of contracts Zen has created on multiple EVMs. 219 million active minting contracts on EVMOS. This means that operators are forced to sell tokens to cover the expenses. Our core team's currently working on a report to address the situation with our validators and larger community. We have a few ideas in mind. Insights and opinions are welcomed. So basically, this guy from this Paradigm VC is going to team up with the CEO of EVMOS, a blockchain with the CEO, and they're coming after Zen to figure out how they can solve the problem of Zen. Man, we're making enemies out here. I love it. Yeah, exactly. The irony. Exactly, Rolando. So he's tagging Jesse Pollock. This is the CEO of the base chain. Let's connect and collaborate to discuss the alternatives for our ecosystem. How are we going to get rid of this scourge Zen? Using all of our precious layer 2 storage. Taking up all of our blobs. Oh my god, it's so funny. So I think that's going to be a fun talking point this weekend. I mean, I feel like that's something the entire Zen community can rally around. And we really should. I mean, the whole point of these blockchains and this immutability is to use it. And they don't like how we're using it, just like Avalanche didn't like how we were using inscriptions, and just like how Dogechain and OKX didn't like how we were using gas, so they manipulated the chain. And now if someone like Base does that, you know, it's one thing if Dogechain does something, like who's using Dogechain, but Coinbase from Base Chain, like that's a big deal. And just the fact, I mean, it's kind of cool because it's basically free marketing, but it's just so skewed, it's so ass backwards. The VC chains are going to call us spam. Like, what? And then Jack chimes in. Shouldn't you be thinking about how to create an economically viable decentralized platform versus actually censoring a project? I mean, exactly. Like, what are you looking at? What are you thinking about? They can ask for help from storage. Yeah. Go hit up Filecoin. Thanks. And then, so yeah, Jesse Pollock from Coinbase, from Base Chain, says, thanks for doing this research. Important first step for figuring out how to manage it long term. How to manage Zen? Like they're trying to figure out how to manage this problem that is us long term.